Hello, I'm Lynn Hughes. I'm very happy to be here. So I used to be what many people think of as a real artist. That is to say, I was a painter, and I taught painting for many years. And now I think about play, and I make games. So how did this happen? Well, I think I looked around at some point, and I saw that the students that are coming through our doors almost all play games. And they think of games, they know that games are a significant part of contemporary culture. Yet at the university, and I think in many ways in the contemporary art world, we are afraid of games, basically. Art is a serious business, and words like play and game tend to make us uncomfortable. So I want to talk in my 7 minutes about games as small C culture, and then a little bit about games as big C culture. So let's start with the definition of a game. Here's the most fundamental description of a game. It's a set of designed constraints or rules, and around those there's a space for improvisation or for play. Now that's a description of a game. This might be a familiar image here. It's a description of any game, not just a digital game, and I think that's what really interests me about it. This is what the game form looks like. Now, what's the place of games in the broader small C culture today? Well, we live in a culture that is increasingly characterized by interactivity. On a pretty basic level, the internet, social media, increasingly the Internet of Things, define our epoch. Now, here's a description of interactivity. In other words, we could see games, the game form, as the form that underlies contemporary culture, and I think that's an interesting thing to think about. But what about games as big C culture? What kind of culture are they? Are they, for example, lightweight or fringe culture? Are they just condemned to be just entertainment? Well, for most people, I think that we don't realize at this point that the game industry looks a lot like the film industry, in the sense that there is everything from at one end, these big, violent, often violent, formulaic blockbusters, through to independent games, so games d'auteur, all the way to very experimental, radically experimental games at the other end. So in the few minutes left, I want to try to give you just a glimpse into what games culture looks like to me now. This is a video of the opening of a show I co-curated in Paris in 2012 with Cindy Paremba and Heather Kelly. The exhibition set out to try to show how exciting and diverse emerging game culture is. And to wrap up, I'm going to focus on two games that are wonderful in different ways. The first one represents the return to very physical social gaming. And this is one example among many different kinds of games that are experimenting in this space. second choice represents the opposite, a long-form, single-player, screen-based game. This game is by Vander Caballero from Montreal, and it's an autobiographical game about growing up with an alcoholic father. It's aesthetically beautiful and psychologically and socially rich. In conclusion, I'm not claiming that games have reached the maturity of, for example, the film industry, but that they will. What's happening now is that there's an incredible explosion of activity around all sorts of different types of games. And this is just going to get deeper and more, as we'd say in French, passionnant. In short, we're moving into a culture fundamentally, really fundamentally centered on play. Thank you.